Yeah. So let's go with your number 3, Simon.
My number 3 was Landon Donovan, so we were talking about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So Brett, your number 3 was
Dempsey. Now we're up to your number 3.
We're done with that.
I love his rap videos. I think they're brilliant. I think he should definitely.
I thought they were pretty damn good for a soccer player.
He's on the U.S. Soccer Hip Hop Hall of Fame.
Yes, it's a very small hall, but yes.
Monsters
and lacking of fame too, actually.
All right, so my number 3 is Carlos Bocanegra.
Yes.
And it's obvious why he was captain for 64 games, but it's not just that it was his length of time. He did take us to and lead us in that amazing 2009 Confederations Cup semifinal win versus Spain. Now we did end up losing in the final to Brazil, but hey, we were in the final. I remember how berserko fucking nuts I went when we were beating Spain. I was literally losing my mind, you know.
When we were beating Brazil 2-0.
Yeah,
we were. Yeah.
It's a shame that we lost 3-2 in the end, but
that's got to be the best sort of tournament, you know, overall that I think that and I think I was really close to losing my mind too, especially when just beating Spain, that the world champion, and we're talking about Casillas in goal, Sergio Ramos, Piqué, Puyol, Capdevila in the back. I mean, just totally annihilating the back. Xavi Alonso in the middle. You know, Fabregas, Xavi, and Riera, and then up front, Torres and Villa. I mean, come on, man. Those guys were the best players in the world in the 2009 Confederations Cup. Yep. And USA was like,
we ended their unbeaten streak, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Brett. Can you imagine? And so I can just imagine you going crazy, but I was doing the same thing. And I was like to myself, this is good. And I'll ask you guys, against Brazil, was there, like, did you for a moment think the USA couldn't beat Brazil when they stepped foot on the field? Because I thought if they'd beaten Spain, they're going to annihilate Brazil.
I thought they were going to compete. I actually was still kind of like, well, okay, that was a one-off probably, so don't get too excited.
I was the opposite. I was like, no, we've just beaten the champions. We've just beaten the world champions. Yeah. So
you're going into that Brazil game having beaten them. They had at least the confidence there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, there's always a chance, but I stand firm with Derek on this. I expected Brazil to end up topping us in the end.
I did too, but once we went up 2-0, I was shitting my drawers. I was like, this could really fucking happen. And then it didn't.
I think Bocanegra owned that left back position. You know what I mean? When he was playing, we thought he's going to go ahead and control this. Gooch and Demerit were center backs, and I thought, man, they're not going to get too taken apart. But you know who scored at that game? Dozy and Dempsey.
Yep, exactly.
Can you imagine Josie Altidore scoring against the world champ? Can you imagine that now, or
no?
A year after that? Or
just because you brought up, did anybody else see the documentary about Demerit? Like I actually went to the theater to watch it.
Oh wow!
Yeah. They actually checked out an entire theater for it. A screen in the theater for it in our area, and I went to watch it. Like, that was fun to watch. What a story!
It is. It's such a great story because he came from nothing. But I want to also add this: in the win versus Spain, you have to give Bob Bradley on that counterattack setup. The way he had that set up. That was no joke. That is exactly what he wanted to happen. Happened. It's crazy. And
I'll give Bob Bradley credit for that. That's number one on his resume. Anything after that, I'll just probably put as a footnote. But
and the crazy thing is, they were interviewing. I can't remember what coach during the next World Cup. That guy had a game against Spain, the manager, and they asked him, "How are you going to beat Spain?" Because they're hard to beat. And the guy literally said, "I just got done watching Bob Bradley's video in the Confederations Cup. That's what we're going to do."
Well, what's funny about all that is that Derek and I have been talking about why nobody ever plays the 4-4-2 anymore. Yeah. And we actually had a segment about if Berhalter played a 4-4-2, what he should do. And I said he needs to bring back Bob Bradley's empty bucket. Absolutely, what he needs to do with our player pool if he went with 4-4-2. But
yeah,
well,
I mean, with this group of kids, I think, that probably won't ever happen with these group, but we'll see. I think I don't think there's a Boca Negra on the bunch. We're going to stray off the topic. I don't think there's a Boca Negra type on the bunch right now. I certainly don't think there's a Gooch or a Demerit kind in the bunch right now.
Well, I agree.
Another topic.
I know, and I did mention to Brett, something close to it, an empty bucket might be played as a 4-2-3-1, and that's about as close as it's going to get, and that might work. But anyhow, neither here nor there. It is your turn, Dalai Lama, for pick number 2.
Well, I picked Carlos Bocanegra as well.
Oh, I that's right. So
I picked Carlos. Yeah,
I guess we're moving to me.
Yeah, no,
we're moving to Brett.
Go for it, Brett.
My number 2 spot is Michael Bradley.
Oh,
okay.
Didn't crack either of you guys' top 5.
No, didn't snip it. I'll let Simon start on that one.
No, I'll ask. No,
Hey,
why?
Bradley is a student of the game. He's vocal and he leads by example. Plus, when he was younger and when he was still playing in Europe, he was consistent in the midfield. Now, once he came to Toronto, he started losing that level of consistency. But
okay.
I enjoyed him as a player prior to
Toronto.
To Toronto, let's just put it that way. He had a great career, and I think he did well as captain, except when he came back.
Oh.
My take on it.
You know why I canceled him, Brett? I canceled him because of the Trinidad and Tobago.
I knew that was going to get brought up. That's why I put that stipulation there, a little asterisk. Saying, let's ignore everything that happened after he moved back to Toronto, guys.
So everything after 2014, we're not going to really worry about.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's. I've got blinders on right now, and it's not going to change it. Not going to change it.
Including his abysmal time at Aston Villa.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Oh, we're going to blame the manager. Oh yeah, okay.
No.
We'll blame the team.
Everybody had bad spells somewhere.
Oh, what about Roma?
Sort of. Not really.
But I will say this, Brett, to defend Brett on that one. His time at Gladbach was decent. His time in Chievo was really good. His time at Roma was kind of not enough playing time.
Yeah.
But
wait. What? Not enough playing time? Are you sure?
He had a lot of competition, but you're right. The Aston Villa stint was awful. I mean, it was bad. It just didn't work out for him. But that's why he's not on my list, and he's not on Simon's list.
Yeah. Not on
my
my
list.
list.
So
I don't think he's going to make the overall top 5 either.
All right, I'm going to go with my number 2, the number 1 Stupper of teammates, girlfriends, and wives. That is John Harkes, and I'm sorry.
First intro for a player. Like what? Stupper. Okay, all right.
Right, but I get that. He is the captain for life. At least that was what it was supposed to be. But we all know the story now. The only odd part about that whole story is that Amy Monalva confirms it. So does the coach. So does Eric. But John Harkes says it never happened. That's the weirdest thing about this.
He denies a tryst with a former teammate's wife.
Yes, he does. He's never admitted to it. Yeah, he's never said, yep, that's what happened.
Well, that's the thing. God, I mean, so here's the thing. With John Harkes, you have to sort of look at it and go, what's he going to be remembered as, right? Is he going to be one of those Kearney, New Jersey guys that, everyone sort of, he's one of those guys, or he's going to be remembered as the guy who, did the unthinkable and did something that real players don't do, as, they don't go after their friends' wives, you know what I mean?
John Terry?
Yeah.
And by the way, John Terry, when I mentioned John Terry coming to MLS, everyone was like, nah, he's horrible. He shags people's wives. And I'm like, dude, you had a captain that did that. Shut up. But anyway, but I mean, for whatever it's worth, John Harkes, and he also had a really bad first or I think third game. His third game back with Nottingham Forest. It was really interesting. He went to the first game on loan from DC United, and then it was a good game. And the second game, not so good. And the third game, I think Nottingham Forest played Manchester United, and they got killed. I mean, they got, I think, like 7-0. And I think that was the last game that he played. I think the manager just went, get out of here. And he came back to New England Revolution. The thing I liked about John Harkes as a player, talking about his personal life, whatever, right? Whatever. He's also one of those guys that he was playing football on the streets in New Jersey. He was the guy that, the legendary that everyone loves, playing, in these courts in New Jersey, and he worked his way up, and he did this, and he ended up, being the captain of the United States team and the captain for life. So I think, he deserves to be there, but I just can't see what people are gonna his record. Like, what are you looking at as a U.S. national team? What did he do? 94? Okay, he could have been 98, but he ruined that. So what was that? Why are you guys in love with this guy?
Brett's not, obviously, but I am. Well, wait a minute. I think Brett liked him too. Brett had him.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
What's that?
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Well, Brett, did you have him on your list?
Depends on the game, right?
No, he's not in my top 5.
He's not in your top 5. To me, the reason I picked him, and I was around for this, was Copa America '95, where they made the semifinal run. They beat Chile, they beat Mexico, and they beat Argentina to make the final where they lost to Brazil. And to me, that was just ridiculous. So I didn't make the final. It was the semifinal. They lost to Brazil. But that's why I picked him, and because he was captain during a period where we were transitioning out of the trash that we were in the late 80s into something better, and you could kind of see things evolving and getting a little bit better in evolving into what became 2002. And I think Harkes played a role there. Again, like Simon, I don't care who he stooped.
I don't care who, but I just care that he forgot the golden rule of being a player. You know what I mean? We never looked at our friend's girlfriend and go, when I was playing, all my friends who were playing had just absolutely gorgeous girlfriends. I didn't just look them. I didn't even look at them. It was part of the deal, But that's another story. But really, you said that he was the start of something that went on to be 2002. Is that really? I don't know.
I think he started. He kept us, first of all, afloat. That's back then when we started beating Mexico on a regular basis.
That's true. That's quite right. Yes.
So that was finally we could say, we're a decent team, and Harkes was the captain. So I have to give him credit for the first of the batches of dose games that we're talking about here, and then that beautiful run. And who knows if he had stuck around, how much better we would have been in that World Cup that he was dropped from. You can't say that, but I got to give Harkes some credit here, and I am.
Oh, by the way, I actually interviewed Alexi Lalas, and the whole show was about the 1998 World Cup. Nothing else, just what was going on in 1998. And I said, hey, let's talk about John Harkes. And he was like, listen, we didn't even know what was going on. We didn't even know what was happening. We didn't know that there was something going on with Eric Ronaldo, and just didn't know. And quite honestly, we didn't even know that was going on. There was no faction. There were no I'm with John Harkes and I'm with Eric Ronaldo. We just knew that, we didn't know that stuff was going on behind the scenes, and we just knew that John was going to be there and would do as best as we could. So the whole mythology that there was two factions of players on the 98 World Cup. When I interviewed Alexi Lalas, he goes, no, we just didn't know. We didn't know what was going on. We just knew that we were going to play, and it was what it was. So
here's what I would have asked Alexi, though, Simon.
Yes.
You didn't know what was going on, but you knew he was one of the best, if not the best player, and certainly the best midfielder on the team, or close to it, and the captain. Why in the hell did he just get let go from the team? I mean, I would ask that question myself if I were in his shoes.
That's a good question.
Let's be frank, Derek. You're never going to get to ask Alexi that.
Yeah, I just
keep insulting him the way you're doing, man.
Yeah, I think you can probably ask me to ask him, but I think that's a better question for the manager, right?
It is, and
Steve Sampson.
Steve has answered it, but he did say it wasn't just. He said Eric never came to him. It was other teammates. In fact, Eric didn't know about it until later. I mean, it was the other teammates who said, "Hey, Harkes' Schtupping Eric's wife. That's not good." And they came to the manager, and then Steve called Harkes and basically said, "You're out." Yeah. And I can't really imagine what that conversation must have been at, because Harkes should have said, "Well, why?"
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think Steve Sampson, again, as topic for another sort of show, such an underrated manager. And I would say, listen, let's just do the facts that you and I know, and all of us know. If the player was doing that, right? That's an old school thing, right? You don't do that to your friend's, wife. I mean, let's just forget about the morality of it. But you just don't do it as a teammate. You sort of, if it was me, I sort of can imagine that I would say, oh, he's out. Like, let me show you what football's really about, and he's out. And I think that's what it came down to. Again, merely speculating. And the funny thing was, I think football-wise, who was the midfield player for the US in '98? Does anyone remember?
Yeah, the little guy from South America. My brain's fried.
Let's just give it a second, because I think if you think about it, there weren't too many goal scorers on the '98 World Cup, right? Squad.
No.
I mean, the only guy who scored was Frankie Hayduck, right? I think I'm trying to think of who scored. So I think the midfield was okay without him, right? It wasn't great, but it was okay. But if he had gotten rid of Eric Ronaldo, who was meant to be scoring goals, right? I think it would have been, Brian McBride. I'm sorry. But I think, and then you obviously knew that, I think as a manager, it's going to be very hard to beat Germany. It's going to be very hard to beat Iran. It's going to be very hard to beat Yugoslavia. So I think it was a good deal. And I probably won't consider John Harkes top 5, not because of that, but just because, it's a sort of a cautionary tale for young players. Like, if you want to be captain, you got to be a little bit, you got to think about what you're doing after the game as well.
I agree. I think the guys you're thinking of, the guy you're thinking of is Tab Ramos.
Tab Ramos, yes, of course.
Yep.
Tab Ramos to me is the best midfield player I think we've had. Can I say ever? So I think Steve Sampson made the right call on that one.
Yeah, I guess looking back on it, we had Ernie Stewart. We had
fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, Tab Ramos and Thomas Dooley played the central three. So I think we were fine, and maybe that made it easier for him to play his 5-4-1 or whatever he ended up playing that game.
1-1-1-1.
It was weird. That's all I got to say in the World Cup. All right, where the fuck are we? I've totally lost control of this whole show.